Good
Good
evening and
evening
welcome
and
to the
welcome to the
Psych
Psych
Health.
Health.
I'm Aeson
I'm
Knight,
Aeson
and
Knight, and
Setting Down
setting
with
down
Tonight
with tonight
is a
is a
researcher
researcher
that's
that's
really
really
interesting.
interesting.
Tell us
Tell
about
us
your new
about
book,
your new book,
darling.
darling.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to get to know you a little bit and to talk about, the things that we have in common. You've already told me some really fascinating tidbits, but so I'm a researcher at the University of Michigan. I'm a clinical psychologist, but I've been doing research in chronic pain over the last 20 some odd years. And I work with just a fascinating group of neuroscientists, physicians, psychologists, physical therapists, nurses. And the research we do is incredibly revealing and interesting. And the problem that we have as academics is that we do this fascinating research and it doesn't get into the hands of people. And so at some point during the pandemic, I decided that, you know what? I have time now. Why don't I write something for people with chronic pain, write something for patients themselves? And decided to write this book that describes the neuroscience, what we understand about the brain and the processing of chronic pain, and what's unique about chronic pain versus acute pain, and what amazing things actually influence the experience of pain. And put this into a book with this background, this neuroscience, but then also make it really actionable. Because I think a problem with many self-help books is they can teach you fascinating things. Education is rich, but nobody walks away with a big changed lifestyle, right? Too frequently, there's not kind of a plan to help you learn things, adopt them, and make these new practices and skills habit. And that was kind of the start of the book, is to have something that we can put into people who have lived experience, people who have chronic pain and fatigue, and understand what we're doing in science and how exciting it is, and how there are things that can be incredibly helpful that they may not even know about.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll back it
back it
up
up a minute.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get
into
this?
Pain research?
Pain
research.
Nobody's ever asked me that. That's fascinating. So I was training to be a clinical psychologist. I was a little teeny junior psychologist working at this outpatient clinic and working with these really fascinating women who all had chronic pain. And I don't know how they all ended up on my patient list, but they were who I was working with. And I really, really was impressed by them. These were really strong, stoic women who were making great gains in therapy. But just as I felt like we were kind of on the cusp of crossing a river, they would crash and just have terrible chronic pain and be overwhelmed and not be able to come to therapy. And I was really frustrated by this. I felt like, they were so close to helping them make this big change. And I went to my supervisor, who was a very learned senior psychologist, and she said, you're working with something fascinating. You're working with the intersection of the mind and the body. Why don't you go to the UCSD, this is when I was in San Diego, to their medical library, and pull some books on conditions like fibromyalgia and chronic pain and chronic fatigue syndrome, and read about them a little bit, and then come back and talk to me. And so I did just that. This is the olden days. So I went to the library in person and pulled articles off the shelves and read them and was just hooked. It was so incredible how this very powerful link between brain, mind, and body existed. And at that point, I had known little about it. And so I really was hooked at that point. I went from wanting to work with kind of the worried well kind of patient to like people who just had profound life disruption with chronic pain. And that's how I kind of ended up there. And then I kind of accidentally ended up in research too. I was so fascinated by this that my dissertation was in studying fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, and depression and catastrophizing and some of these negative processes, so I can understand how they fit into the picture. And that's kind of how I ended up in this world.
Okay. And
When
then
I got into the world, because I had I was in there saying headed back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
that set off the back pain, and then they're like, oh, you've got, you 6 months you'll adapt, but you're always going to be in pain.
Mm.
So here's these pills that never work. And then the opioid came along, and they're like,
oh,
we
we
got
got
this
this
lovely new
new
medicine.
medicine.
Yeah.
It's here, take five of these today. If you're really hurting, take six. It's non-habit forming, not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Like
all
all
of
of us.
us.
Yeah.
Why are we
seeing
seeing
an
an increase in this?
An increase in pain or opioid use or all the above?
All of the
above,
Yeah.
one I think feeds to the other.
Yes. So there's a number of reasons why we might be seeing more. Part of it is we're aware of it and we're really looking for it. The opioid crisis really opened our eyes and put a lot of money into research, because congressional mandated money into the NIH to really help us. I mean, I have just some remarkable grants from the NIH to be able to support research so we can do a better job of treating people. But it's multifactorial. And then some people would even say that, is this really more indicative of where society is? That it's not just that we're more aware of pain, but that our pain, our society's in pain. And as such, we are detecting more cases. There was an NIH and CDC paper that came out about 2 months ago that said that new cases of chronic pain are occurring faster than asthma, hypertension, and I believe depression. But it was just stunning how much we're seeing here. And so, so the problem is growing. I think it's multifold. I think the pandemic was very stressful for many, many people, and disrupted sleep and disrupted exercise and disrupted social supports and stressed a lot of people out. And that creates a really vulnerable individual. Then you have something that happens like a nursing accident or a car accident, and it can set the chronic pain process in motion.
It
It
does.
does. And then what? Because
a lot of people
that
was
going through what I was going through it, got told many times.
Yeah.
Well, you're
just
going to have to deal with it. It's all. I had one doctor tell me it's all in your mind.
It's all what?
It's all in your mind.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to say that. Yeah.
Yes, psychology.
Yeah.
And it's like no, my
brain fog
may be in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Wearing out points that I can't function is not enough.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, I don't think I've ever treated a patient who didn't at least have that experience once, where they got that dismissive referral to psychiatry or to go see a psychologist. There's nothing I can do to help you. This is all in your head. And it's like, oh my God, that is so demeaning and so wrong. Chronic pain is not a psychiatric illness. It is not. It is really a change in how the brain is processing pain signals more than anything. And what we see in our neuroscience studies, when we put people with chronic pain in a scanner, in a neuroimaging machine, is we see that the brain is actually detecting pain as being much worse than it is. So for example, if we were to squeeze the thumb bed of a person without chronic pain and put them in a scanner, we would see a pattern light up. If we do the same thing to a person with a chronic pain with the same amount, they'll have twice as much activation. The brain is processing the signal using many, many more areas of the brain, many more networks, and it's as if it's just gotten stronger. That signal now is what the brain does well. And we think about people who have, say, phantom limb pain. I think most of us have heard about people who have an amputation and yet have tremendous pain in the amputated foot, the foot that is no longer there, the leg is no longer there. The brain maps all that. The brain understands and has a map of where that foot is. And even if it's gone, it's still going to say it hurts. And it's, even in your body, even if an area has been fixed. So many people have a knee replacement or a hip replacement and can't believe they still have pain in that knee. What is that? It's the brain has mapped that painful area and is producing the pain on its own and amplifying pain from other parts of the body. Because many people who have chronic pain in one area report chronic pain in a lot of other places too. Again, these signals are being amplified. And so we have a brain problem. We don't have a mind problem or a psychiatric problem.
Right.
We have a neural pathway problem.
Yes, exactly right. Yes. We have a networks problem.
Yeah. So how did you learn over the past 20 years about that?
Yeah. So To me, when I was looking at those first studies and so fascinated by kind of how the mind and the body and the emotions and the thoughts were overlapping, the pieces that I eventually learned, I got a lovely grant from the NIH as a young investigator, and was able to go back to Princeton University and study neuroscience as an adult researcher. And it was wonderful because I was finally getting the tools to put into words what we were seeing and trying to understand about chronic pain. And what we know is that the structures of the brain, the multiple structures that process chronic pain, are the same as or adjacent to many of the structures that process our thoughts, our emotions, our sense of fear. I mean, all of this circuitry is overlapped. And when people have an injury, even an acute injury, or have chronic pain, and they're fearful or angry, usually the pain feels much worse. Those circuits are being activated by the fear and the anger. When people are feeling joyful or incredibly distracted by something they love, they actually can forget about the pain for a few minutes. The pain will actually recede. It's not unlike the athlete on the field of play that is injured and doesn't feel anything till he or she comes over and sits on the bench. It's like, oh my gosh, because the brain can only pay attention to so many things at once. And so kind of knowing this, we can start working with what we focus on, how we influence the signals. And so that is how we're starting to help people reset. And that's kind of the name of my book, The Chronic Pain Reset, that we can do this. We can attack the pain from many other areas. And it's including changing how we think, how we feel, our level of stress, our level of fear, and all of that dials down. And the more the less that the pain is intensely experienced and felt, the more likely those bonds in the brain will start breaking down. If we're not always sending that signal, that is not always being wired. And so we want to send new things. And it's pretty common sense stuff. It's doing the things that we need to do, like our grandma said, to take care of ourselves. Eat well, sleep well, get a little exercise, and have a little bit of joy in your life. Be with people that are supportive and loving of you, and stay away from people who are toxic and not helpful as much as you can. Do things that you enjoy. And if your work you don't enjoy, find something else that you enjoy in your spare time, right? So it's like, how do we invite a little bit more goodness in our lives? Because again, that dials down the stress, that dials down the reactivity.
What have you seen in relation to diabetes?
Oh, I'm sorry. You were breaking up a little bit. Could you ask me that question again?
What have you seen as a tie between sugar/insulin resistance and chronic fatigue?
So that's an interesting question, because we do see in diabetic conditions, diabetic neuropathy. So we do see changes in the nerves, and that's incredibly painful for people. We also think of, diabetes as an autoimmune disorder or potentially an inflammatory disorder. So we think that in many of these chronic conditions, there is kind of this low-level inflammatory process going on, right? It's not full blown. It's not like the immune response you would have if you were exposed to COVID or a flu. It's just bubbling. And we think we see this in chronic pain as well. So I think that there may be some unity across these diseases. We see higher rates of chronic pain in diabetes, in heart disease, in hypertension. So all these other kind of chronic illnesses tend to overlap.
Interesting. Yeah. So that start this reset.
I'm sorry, I missed you again.
How do you start
the reset? So the reset begins when you say it begins, right? So the reset is when, ideally, I hope that I've set the predicate for why this makes sense, just based on the science. And I try and share the science in the most friendly and engaging way, so that it doesn't feel overwhelming and hard to read. It's like, oh, lots of analogies. I kind of get what's going on here. And as soon as it clicks and you think, you know what? I think this might be right. This feels like this might be right. Then the reset has started. The reset has started, because now you've opened the door saying, okay, pain is in my brain. I got it. Okay, I am processing pain way too well. This is some weird thing that my brain is doing. I need to figure out how to make it stop doing this. And once that starts, that's when we open the door to doing these various activities. And so the activities are evidence-based things that we have shown in scientific studies to be helpful for people with chronic illness and chronic pain. And each of these strategies, skills, or activities is easily doable by the person. And so what I do, though, is the activity or skill or practice that'll work for a person is the one that the person's willing to do. And people will do what makes sense to them and what they think they kind of want to do, right? I think we all are subject to the things we procrastinate that are hard to do and yucky and don't make sense to us, and we don't want to do it. And we're really quick to do the things that we think will benefit us and seem fun and seem like, it's doable. And so what I challenge people to do is, over a 30-day period, consider one of these a day. So when we get to the middle part of the book, the reader opens up and it's a little 1.5 page day. This is day one. And here is the skill. This is mindful breathing. This is what we know about it a little bit in science. We've probably talked about it throughout the book leading up to this. This is how it's practiced. And for today, try this. And then we talk them through, this is what you're going to try. Spend a moment thinking about it. Think about it throughout the day a little bit. And at the end of the day, come back and make a note. Does this seem like something that makes sense to you, that you'd be willing to do, or maybe even excited to do? If not, skip it. And then we go into the next day. And there's a new activity, skill, or practice. It could be activity pacing, just these new ways that we've found that people can pace the activities that they do during the day and not trigger pain flares. So maybe you try that for the day and say, oh my gosh, this totally works. I was able not to trigger a pain flare by using this particular technique. You like it, at the end of the day, you put a star. Day 3, you open up. You don't keep doing the things that you've done. You're just interviewing. You're just checking out these different skills. Day 3 is a new skill. It's a new way to kind of think about your ruminative thinking, right? If most of us ruminate, we think about a lot of things that are not helpful and often in the middle of the night. How do we combat that? And so you'll learn a skill that might help you with your rumination. You can say, oh, I'm not a ruminator at all. That's not my problem. So I'm not interested. Or somebody will say, oh my God, that is my biggest problem. I can't sleep. I want to learn more about this. And so we do this for 30 days with everything from gratitude journaling to walking in nature to acts of kindness. And, it blends cognitive behavioral therapy with positive psychology, with mindfulness, all the practices that have been shown to be helpful. And at the end of it, ideally, somebody has anywhere from 5 to 10. Some people I've worked with have many more skills that they like. And you look these over and you think, okay, these are cool. What is my biggest problem? My biggest problem is I can't sleep right now. And the more I don't sleep, the more I have pain. And so then we build a plan saying, okay, let's deal with sleep first. Here are the 3 things you picked that you think you like to do. Let's get your sleep regulated. And so you literally work through this, but it's so tailored to the person's needs, the person's symptoms, the person's preferences. And it's just what we have learned in many, many clinical trials, that what seems to work the best for people is indeed the thing that makes sense to them and they're willing to do.
And it's like respond.
I'm sorry?
And they respond.
And they respond to it. And you're absolutely on the mark.
Yeah. Because a lot of things get thrown at us.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take a break and I'll come back.
Okay, great.
Okay. We'll be right back, guys.
Hi, this is Sandy Starr. I'm a psychic and I work on Keen, and I have been working on Keen for over 22 years. You can reach me on 01068. I deal with a myriad of subjects, but I do specialize in relationships, marriages, divorces, is he cheating, is she cheating, whatever the dynamic of the relationship is, I will guide you through. I've got amazing radar for cheaters, so I will tell you the truth if he or she is cheating. I can help with any subject you need me to help you with besides relationships. and I look forward to hearing from you. Again, you can reach me through Keen. My extension number is 01068. I really look forward to hearing from you and helping you with whatever you need me to help you with.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I'm a psychic medium and I work with tarot cards. I also practice Reiki and access bars. I would like to share with you what a reading with me is like. It is a blended reading of psychic and mediumship, and I deliver these messages exactly as they come through. I'm not going to mince words or add any padding. I am a professional, reliable, and honest communicator. I have readings available anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. You can book a reading with me at tracyvann.com. That's TRACYVANN.com. And no, I'll always tell you exactly what you need to hear.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
All right. We're back. Let's see if this is better. Awesome. Okay. So you go through and you do the reset. And sometimes it's a lot of options, a lot of options. So I've got a few questions for you over this. Why does every psychic seem to have this problem? Have you looked at that, or is that just out and around?
You tossed that out there and it came to me. I think I know. Not to say I'm psychic, but I think I know. So what is really interesting about the brain that is sensitized to pain is in our labs, we have shown that not only does the brain more sensitive to pain and amplify it and make pain more troubling, it does the same thing with vision. So we discovered this really quite oddly. We put people in the scanners all the time so we can look at their brains, and we use kind of a visual cue in between the actual tests that we're doing. It's like, okay, just look at the little pattern cue. And what we discovered over time was the little pattern cue was totally freaking out and upsetting our people with chronic pain. They're like, that is horrible. I hate that thing. It's like, that's so interesting. So just the visual patterning of it was aversive. Like, oh my gosh, they're visually sensitive. And then we'd start determining that they have sensitive hearing, that sounds are aversive, and then that smells are noxious and aversive. And so this is something we've all been talking about a long time, but now we're starting to show it. So there's this general broad sensitivity to external stimuli. I wonder if that generalizes to other types of potential stimuli, and that if people who have psychic abilities just are generally more sensitive to everything around and are detecting things that others may miss. A totally hypothesis, not based in science, but
like the hypothesis.
Yeah.
Would also like to see if any of the hypothalamus, which is where the Indian psychic CDOs, is oversized.
It's so interesting. Yeah. I don't know that I haven't seen those data, but I find that interesting, and it fits with the picture.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Other questions. You're non-24, or you did that.
I have not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have. Because a lot of psychics are non-24.
Yeah.
Some are on like 36-hour days,
Yes.
or 16-hour days.
Yes.
And it really ties into their pain level.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so I've never seen kind of the comparison between non-24 and psychics, but I am familiar with the circadian rhythm data.
Right.
And we know that a lot of people with chronic pain, their circadian rhythms are off. And I'm actually, we fingers crossed, are likely to get a very large grant from the NIH to study morning bright light therapy in fibromyalgia, but using a really portable thing, not sitting in front of the big light, but these really lovely glasses that allow you to kind of go about your day with that just emit enough light that it helps re-regulate the circadian rhythms. And so it's very, very powerful, because what happens once we're out of phase, everything is off. The body loves predictability. And as soon as we're on like a 36, hour phase, all the systems are off. And then that disrupts, I think our pain processing more than anything, because we know when people have a very bad night of sleep, the next day they tend to have worse pain. Again, you've disrupted the circadian rhythms.
Mm-hmm. So do you find that they self-regulate? Like have very feed times, exercise patterns, to minimize the pain.
That's our goal. So the body loves predictability. That if you go to bed at the same time every night and get up at the same time every morning, and this is one of the hardest things to do, especially in the beginning, because you don't want to go to bed at 11 o'clock or whatever it is, because that's not where your rhythm is. And then you sure don't want to get up after 4 hours of tossing and turning at 6 a.m, whatever your time is. But the body will re-regulate. And it is one of the most powerful things that we can do to help people regulate their sleep, is just go to bed at the same time every night, get up every morning. It's going to stink and it's not fun over the weekends, but do this for 2 to 3 weeks. And you can start to re-regulate, because again, it's just the body likes predictability. And then especially in the first hour, if you can get out into the light, if you can sit on your front porch and have your coffee in the sunlight, or even in your open window during the winter, and just let that bright light in that first hour of being awake, again, it just helps re-regulate. The worst things we do is we look at our computers at 10 o'clock at night, and we're looking at our blue screens and our iPhones and our computers. Again, the body, the brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a part of the brain very deep that helps us keep time, says, oh, daylight. Okay, I'm awake. So, yeah.
All right. Interesting. What have you seen about diet?
Mm-hmm. So I don't study diet, but I have worked with on teams that study diet. I have a lovely researcher I like to work with. Her name is Susie Zick. She's a naturopath. And so she thinks very much about the influences of diet. And we do believe that, omega-6 fatty acids, very, very important, to help re-regulate and decrease pain. We do think that a number of people have a lot of food intolerances and allergies they don't know, but I think you were just telling me about your own adventure and what a game changer that was. We think a lot of people are on inflammatory types of diets, that they just eat things that create this inflammatory, low-level inflammatory milieu, which is not good for anybody. So we really, truly eating at regular intervals, eating as much fresh and natural food as you can, eating with some balance, that is all good health. And I think what's good for people with chronic pain and chronic fatigue is what's good for people that need health, right? A little bit of exercise, sleeping well, general health. And it's so important. And gosh darn, if we don't take bad care of ourselves most of the time, we stress ourselves out and eat poorly and right.
Therapist.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you some redneck versions of some things we talked about.
Great. Okay.
Tanning beds for water therapy. I know dermatologists go crazy.
Yeah.
Major game changer, especially in the winter.
Yeah.
Not long. We're not going 20 minutes. We're going 28 minutes.
Okay.
Planners to combat brain fog, but also to regulate the thought process. Morning pages.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
a very patterned exercise program
Mm-hmm.
while managing the spoons.
Yes.
Meaning like, most doctors preach 7 to 8 hours sleep in a day.
Mm-hmm.
My cycle's 5.5.
Yeah, that's fine.
After 5.5, I'm
Yeah.
sore.
Yeah.
I feel like crap.
Yeah.
So I'll do 5.5, and then I do a nap in the evening
Mm-hmm.
for an hour and a half, the rest of that. But I'll play the math game.
Mm-hmm.
How is that ramping up with what you see in science?
So what's so interesting is a lot of what we learn in science is based on anecdote, meaning that people try stuff and it works. And so we notice these patterns, say, okay, so people are using tanning beds to regulate mood. Well, yes, that makes sense. They don't necessarily have light and it is helping to regulate. That makes sense. Some of the diet choices, same thing too. It's like, sometimes we stumble onto the things that are healthy. Think about the first person that used bark from the willow tree, to make aspirin, right? So these things kind of happen. Then we study them, and it's like then it becomes a thing in medicine. So none of that surprises me. These things that just happen.
I just find it interesting that I've been basically playing your research on my own and going, oh, this works. This works.
Yeah.
Let's go in the car, let's go high vibration foods.
Yeah.
Unprocessed type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I smoke for my asthma, my doctor hates it. What I've not had an inhaler in 20 years.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm.
And I had to go do something. I had to go see another doctor. And they're listening to ones, and they're like, you have asthma listed on your chart, but I see no signs of asthma. Your lungs sound perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Really? I'm a pack-a-day smoker, buddy. You have to watch caffeine intake, hydration finally in place.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Just there's different things to make me feel better, and there's others that have played it.
Yeah. Yes.
And then weirdly mild pain medicine. Not the high stuff that I was on in the 90s.
Yeah.
And 2000.
Yeah.
But very low, very mild,
Great.
step above ibuprofen.
Great. Love it.
Lesser doses.
Yeah.
Is more effective than a Lortab.
Yeah. That's really powerful. That's really powerful. And it's something that we see all the time, that people come in and they're on 15 medications. It's like, we don't know even where to start. You're on so much medication, what's working, what's not working. And you have a pain that's still a 7 out of 10, right? So and that is the goal. Can you get down to 1 or 2 medications, very low dose, and make a lot of changes in your life? Because this is your life. It's a chronic condition that, needs to be maintained, but we can make it better. And in some cases, the pain can go away, depending on how rooted it is in the brain.
How do we reprogram it?
So it begins with ideally a physician that can work with you and knows your MRIs, knows your body, and can look at you in the eye and say, that thing on your knee is not causing you pain. Right. I looked at it. There's nothing on the MRI that's pain. That you do not have a structural problem with that knee. You can walk on that knee. But you're saying, I'm sorry, doctor, I've got devastating pain in this knee. And so once we determine that it is something that is not generated by something broken in the body, that's when we start to understand this is probably very much brain pain. And when we can do that, we can help patients think about the pain differently, and using some kind of an exposure therapy, having people, okay, we'll go with the example of, say, a sore neck. So if somebody has a really, really sore neck and hasn't turned his neck in 6 years, barely, because it's so painful, and the physician has reassured him there's nothing structural here, this is muscular, and there's something else going on. Through the therapies we literally tell the patient, your brain is an overactive nanny. Right now, it's screaming at you, don't move, don't do that. for no other reason than there is just this built-in understanding that that neck pain is there. What we need to do, though, is to try now to move understanding with the goggles of safety that you can move. And what we'll do is we'll just tell the person, just turn your neck a quarter of the inch to the left and tell yourself, I'm safe. Tell your brain, I'm safe. Don't worry, brain, don't worry. Go to the right, tell your brain, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And do this. And pretty soon the person is going, oh my God, that's incredible. Because what you've done is you've defused the brain screaming the signals. And it's a little bit of the principles of proprioception, which is just a fancy way of saying that the brain kind of knows where things are in space. And you have to sometimes teach yourself how to do a motion that it's never done before. And so just by moving the neck again, the brain realizes, oh, I can do that. So this therapy is called pain reprocessing therapy, and it's very specific for certain people. And when it works like a miracle. It's really, really amazing. And that's really for kind of pure brain pain. It does, like I said, does not work for everybody, but it's really quite remarkable. And again, it's just because we've advanced our understanding of how it is that the brain processes, how it holds pain, and how we can start with a reset. And part of what we want to do in the book is to have people think about, is this part of my pain picture? And then if it is, I provide references. If you think this is part of your pain picture, take a step aside of the book and, and here's some places you can look for more information about this and talk to people who are doing some of this work. But, people can try it themselves and say, okay, brain, I'm very, very, very safe. I'm very, very safe. And to try the experiment themselves. A lot of what we recommend is kind of experimenting. What are you willing to try? What are you willing to do?
And also see, and flip side of that, what I would be asking is, what are you hanging on?
What, I'm sorry?
What are you hanging yourself on?
Oh, interesting. You mean figuratively?
Yeah.
And then what do you think the answer is? What do people?
It really depends on the person.
Yeah.
It could be a career they're unhappy with it being that thing area and what these are available. It could be a relationship they're unhappy with.
Yeah.
Or get relationships. If we're looking at the here's a relationship with that. So there's packing around like a business.
That's on the mark too. We so frequently displace our unacceptable emotions. So there's again, it's not too different this type of pain that where people have such negative or fearful or awful unacceptable emotions, they'll often just kind of stuff that, and the brain feels that as threat. And so it says there's got to be pain somewhere and can emit that signal. And so, I'll know people who have just crippling pain that literally bend over, and you get them breathing again and say, what were you thinking about right before that happened to you? And they'll say, oh my God, I was so furious with my husband. He did X, Y, and Z, and it's like, oh my gosh. Again, the brain is just kind of misinterpreting other threat and sending it as a pain signal. So you're right that, it's what are the weights in your life? And are these some weights that you can do something about?
Okay. Interesting. What is the most powerful tool you've seen like that?
I think the most powerful tool is the human that comes to terms with, I now am empowered. I worry so many people with chronic pain have invested so much time in physicians and others to care for them and have been so disappointed that they forget what incredible power they have themselves. And that once they figure, you know what, I may not be able to get rid of my pain, but I can probably do something even better than what's been happening to me. I don't think I need opioids. I don't think I need injections anymore. That's the most powerful thing. And then when that person opens that door, give that person the tools, and again, that's kind of the purpose of the book. Here are the tools. You've cracked open the door. let's give you what you need and see if you can move forward. Pick the things that you think, pick up the bits that you want. And the point that you made too is also reconciling that when there's very bad things in life, and they could have come from the pain, the relationship may have deteriorated so badly because of the pain, or whatever it is. Maybe we need to think about the relationships that we need to prune. I call it a relationship tree. And one of the exercises in the book is on one of the days is, okay, let's think about the people in your life. All righty. And so the people that you're closest to, draw them as leaves closest to the tree, and you put little names on them. And then think about the people that you sort of interact with regularly. Maybe it's people at work or friends at church or whatever, and write them kind of the next level out. And then the next level, maybe it's his distant cousins. And so you have all these little names around there. Then you go back in and you color them. So you pick a color for the positive, gratifying, good relationships, and you pick another color for the ones that feel toxic and not helpful, people who are not supportive of you. And you just kind of look at this, right? You look at, oh my gosh, and you make observations. You might observe that all the people who are loving and supportive are close to the trunk. They're the people you're closest to, and they love you and you're insulated. Or you might determine that all of the negative relationships are very, very close to you. Taking stock of the humans in our life is a hard thing to do, because we have to come up with some hard truths, but it's really important. And you can't sever all these relationships, probably not. But what you can do is you can work harder to build the ones that feed you, that are supportive of you, that are loving and kind, and put your effort in there too, and find some way to distance a bit from the ones that are toxic and different. Because again, it's you taking charge of your life. And one of the major things that really influences it are the humans in our life, is our relationships. And at the end of the day, when we're on our deathbed, we're not probably going to be thinking a lot about, the extra work that I did on X day. We're going to be thinking about the times that we spent with the people we love, doing amazing things, and the incredible stuff that we saw and did. So it's often about the humans.
And sometimes you have pink slips and
Yeah,
fire.
yes. And where you can, you do, yeah.
So can we get your book out?
Oh, so the book is available on Amazon, Target, ideally at your local independent bookstores. I love indies. Ask for the book, Chronic Pain Reset. You can also find it at aftonhassett.com, AFTON, Hassett, HASSETT.com. It's my author website. Oh, good. Thank you. And then, and then the book is available there. That'll link you up to any of those standard services like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and also link you to a place where you can find the local bookstores in your area, the indies, and support them as well.
Right. How do we get this into our doctors?
Oh, so we're trying. So this book was written with people with chronic pain in mind, but the people who are loving it and kind of going nuts on the first blush, the patients are loving it. The people, everybody, don't get me wrong, but it's the people who work with our patients, physicians and surgeons and nurses and physical therapists are going, oh my God, I can use this. And oh my gosh, I learned so much. This is incredible. So, it's not just for patients. It's really a great tool for health coaches, so other psychologists that don't do pain psychology is kind of their first thing. Physicians and, family medicine, family practitioners, naturopaths, because it's all there. It's a very natural approach. It's kind of a psychological approach, but really is more about just good human opportunities to lead a rich life, right? It's not, these principles pertain to the clinicians themselves too. They might not have chronic pain, but 18 of the activity, skills, and practices pertain to them to build their health, their sense of purpose, their feelings of belonging, their need to exercise. It's all in there.
And it's really important. My listeners know 57 doctors to just accept the initial appointment.
Yeah.
Because when they see chronic pain, they see just 100, they're like, can't have you out the door as soon as I accept you.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking. And it is something that our whole team really focuses on, is educating clinicians, physicians, and really just bringing the human back. So in the book, I have 11 stories from people who have chronic pain, who don't just tell their story that, I got diagnosed here and then I had this. No, they tell their life revelation, something that changed, something that they learned, something that is incredibly inspirational, or sometimes just funny. And these are just beautiful, beautiful stories that that really kind of help make the patient real to clinicians. But people with chronic pain will say, "Oh yeah, that's me. I recognize what that guy was dealing with, that lady was dealing with." But really, the need to humanize people with chronic pain to our physicians and tell them this is not a psychiatric disorder. This is a condition that we understand. We understand the brain processing, and there's things that we can do to help them. So please read this book and other similar books that help you understand where we are with the neuroscience of pain, and so you can better help your patients. So it's kind of a 1-2 approach, empowering patients, but also providing the education to the clinicians who treat them.
Yeah, because they've been so traumatized.
Yes, yeah.
So since you specialize in opioid research, what's your thoughts on the black box that we're seeing on something like gabapentin with this and that?
So were you asking about the use of opioids in chronic pain? I mean, you're cutting in and out a little bit again.
I'm sorry. What I was saying, what is your thoughts?
Yeah.
On the black label's use of gabapentin that was an allergy medicine, or that medicine or this medicine on patients.
Yeah. So, I'm not a physician, so I'm going to opine from my, not representing the University of Michigan with this, that, there's a fair amount of off-label use of many medications, because sometimes it just works, right? And often this comes from even the patients themselves saying, "This is so weird. I got a prescription for X and suddenly my pain was better." And so, it starts almost to become anecdotal, that it becomes, something that works. And eventually the studies catch up. And so for most things that are kind of commonly used off-label, there are studies going on, like simultaneously trying to, we got the evidence now we can get it through FDA. But again, it's sometimes our systems are slower than our science, that there may be papers, and frequently there are papers out there in early stages saying, hey, gabapentin is helpful for XYZ, or this other medication is typically used for a whole different illness, can be helpful for people with chronic fatigue, and so that's that's kind of how that happens.
Interesting. Well, Charlotte, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Come back with your next book. Look forward to it.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been really nice spending some time with you. Thank you for asking that fascinating psychic question. I can't wait to talk to some of my colleagues, see if they think I'm.
Love to see that. Keep in contact.
Okay, I will. I'd be glad to let you know what I hear. All righty.
All right. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Sandy.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here from Rowan Temple of Light, and I'm here to tell you about our events this summer. First up is Beltane in the Hills, May 13th, and that is from 1 to 6. We have entertainment, we have a bunch of vendors, we have a fairy photo shoot. It's going to be exciting. You having any questions, reach out to Earth Magic or to myself. After that, we have Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, August 19th. That's at Holly Gray Park from 11 to 5 for the day. And we will have Sarah Masters coming down from Pittsburgh to be our keynote speaker. We have some great classes for that. So if you want to get involved, reach out to Rowan Temple of Light at Gmail, or just follow us along on Facebook at Rowan Temple of Light, and we look forward to seeing you out in the community. See you there.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that Call Now button there on my site. It'll connect you to Keen, and if you've not been with Keen before, you'll get 3 free minutes to talk with me, so that's great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. Bye, y'all.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Right. Welcome back. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
All right. So the sound is much better. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So I noticed something while you guys were talking, and I had to go, it set me on a whole journey. So did you catch that the middle letters of her name were 1 letter removed from yours?
No.
Because Aeson, Afton, it's E, F comes after E, T comes after S. I found it funny. So then I started wondering, well, what about the hasset?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what's a hasset? Like, let's look up the definition. And it's funny because the number of people that when you tell them you're Aeson Knight, try to drop the K. Okay. So Afton actually means evening. But then I turned around and I was looking at hasset, and it's kind of funny. The meaning for that is technically discord or strife. But the word origins are non-peace.
Okay.
And I was like, that's kind of funny. Like how similar the names. Anyway, I went off on the thing.
Hey, it's not.
Oh, Brenda's like, I can understand you now. Hey, Brenda.
Yeah. What I find interesting is I've been doing all this. Like this book it hit hardcover on the 5th. I was not part of the research study at all. But these are the things we've been doing.
Well, or things that we've noticed, or things that we've run into. And I think the most important question in that whole thing was your last one about, like, so what's the deal?
Yeah.
With all the off-label usage. Like this weird usage. And it's true. Though I feel like she needed to put some caveats on that. Is that, some of this is born of like the funny path drugs take.
Right.
Like Pfizer invented the worst fucking blood pressure medication ever made. But funny thing, all their male patients kept showing up and going, it's not doing crap for my blood pressure, but the erections.
Mm-hmm.
And so that led to, oh, really, this is interesting. All these male patients report the same thing.
Well, but she said something in the interview, and it really was like, oh, now I see the connection.
Okay.
Gabapentin's an allergy medicine, much like a stronger form of Benadryl.
Well, gabapentin's a lot of things.
I understand that.
Yeah.
If the brain is oversensitized to pain, what happens when you give someone Benadryl?
Well, usually, for me, it knocks me unconscious for hours at a time.
Well, so does gabapentin, but it causes the body not to be sensitive.
But it is a desensitizer. But
yeah.
Generally for Benadryl and most allergy medications, that's thought to be a histamine release, as it interferes with the release of histamine.
Mm-hmm.
So your body quits reacting to whatever the stimulus,
right,
allergen is.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Shannon's like, I can take gabapentin and go. Benadryl knocks me out. Gabapentin, I briefly got put on that. It really didn't do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
Except it did kind of I don't want to say it made me sleepy per se, but it did kind of crank some fatigue. Just that general feeling of tired.
Right.
Didn't make me sleepy, just do I have to get up and do anything? Do I have to go anywhere? Do I have to? You know what I mean? Just that feeling of fatigue.
Right, which is exactly the opposite of what needs to be going on.
Right. But then again, I've lived and argued with so many medical professionals. It's like my biggest life problem are the number of times I've been diagnosed as depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And thrown on antidepressants, and to a point that it's like, please don't put me on antidepressants.
Right.
Do you want me to die? Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You put me on antidepressants, it does nothing positive for me. I get every single side effect, and then it builds up in my system.
Yeah.
And you think I'm depressed now?
Well, and my prescription's always been different.
Okay.
Detailed journaling, detailed planning, lots of sunlight and water.
Oh, yeah. What? Brenda just got on the right feed. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Don't know what's going on over there. Apparently, Shannon's showing Brenda some cooking, and okay. But no, that's
They're having their own coffee conversation.
Y'all have fun. But no, and believe me, I've been through gabapentin and Vistaril and this med, that med, this med, that med. And it really seems to be a struggle anymore. Because sorry, in case you're new to the you're just watching this, you don't know, you've watched nothing we've done before. I've had 2 neck surgeries. And of course, my problems had to start at the height of the opioid epidemic crackdown.
Mm-hmm.
Not at the height of the opioid epidemic where I got meds. Yeah, that would have been useful. But at the literal height, the apex of, we got to shut this down now. We're not writing pain scripts for no one. We don't care. We will rip all the teeth out of your mouth and send you home with Tylenol. And you will feel lucky.
Right.
That was the point in which I was first, going in, getting diagnosed, trying to seek treatment, before I ended up having surgery.
Right.
And like the number of things they tried to run me through, and I'm sitting here going, what the hell is this?
Right.
And it was wild. And I hate that we're kind of relying on anecdotal evidence,
right,
to choose meds for people.
Well, and I think that's why a lot of us that are in chronic fatigue are moving to other things.
Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting for better computer modeling and DNA-based prescriptions.
Yeah.
As in, we start to finally understand why these meds work for some people and don't work for others.
Yeah, I'll give it 15 years.
Yeah. And I'm figuring it's going to become a common thing. You'll either have a pre-generated profile with all your providers,
mm-hmm.
and literally software that decides what meds are best for what, and shortens the list effectively.
Right.
But I also think there's going to be a next, which is literally you get designer meds.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're quickly moving towards a point in which your pharmacist is going to get a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to be attached to so many different things. Like, one, pharmacies, you're not really, I don't think at some future point you're going to have to worry about pharmacies getting broken into because no one knows how to use the equipment to steal drugs. Because I figure it's going to be a more base chemical system.
Mm-hmm.
That gets custom blended on the fly. We go back to legitimate compounding pharmacies as our day-to-day operation.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of look forward to that. And I think it may become the, like, you have 3 pills a day and it premixes all your shit.
Ah, that'd be
like,
nice.
That's kind of like, yeah, that's my, that's my hope. That's theory.
Mm-hmm.
Is for a really nice future experience in which, like, one, pharmacies are no longer getting broken into to get drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, the meds that we take are more specific to us. They're more personal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's better, like, because, like, we go through this with Invisible, who's on a thyroid medication. Like, that's not new information to anyone. But is on a thyroid medication. And, like, the dosage that they take is not a standard interval dosage.
Right.
And we spend so much time having to have the same conversations over and over. And then our pharmacist has to have the same conversations over and over to get this med through insurance.
Right.
Because it's like, well, why are you taking 2 of it? It's like, well, because the dosage that they need isn't one that you stock on a shelf.
Right.
Like, I just look forward to a day when we don't have that argument anymore.
Right.
That, we just blend drugs at whatever dosage, and that we stop trying to make these, like, so to speak, one size fit all dosages.
Right.
That we keep it within a parameter, because we're not crazy. Like, you're not going to be giving, like, some 85-year-old man 5,000 milligrams of Viagra. Because, Jesus Christ, that's enough to kill someone. Not to mention, you're probably going to end up at the ER, because I will guarantee that's going to last more than 4 hours. But no, seriously, that it'll be within parameters, and that you can get a better sliding and not have to sit here and crack pills open and do all kinds of crap. And then potentially move into a point in which we can create better methods than pill.
Mm-hmm.
That's
personally, I'd like to have a weekly injection.
Well, and I think, like, and here's my problem with the injectables is, has anyone tried to deal with a pharmacist after getting a needle script? Because that happened to me, and it was horrible that it was a brand new pharmacist to me when it happened. But I was doing the immunotherapy for my allergies, and we had, like, I was moving up here we were still dealing with the allergist in Princeton, and like they were just getting to the point that they could let me do home dosing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, prep my vial, come by, pick it up, come back
Mm-hmm.
for the next one, blah blah blah. But they had to write the script for the needles. And so my pharmacist got that, and like we never had a good relationship with that pharmacist again.
Yeah.
Ever. Like even though these needles would have been horrible to do drugs with.
Yeah.
Like, because we validated that like these are not needles you would use for drugs. This would be stupid.
Right.
Like,
No, I'm talking like my Trulicity shot.
Mm-hmm.
I just would take one shot, auto inject. I'm done for the week.
I know. I think though maybe we'll move to something that's a little more than that.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking for a future point in which we get like something closer to like the Dex system.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of snaps on. You wear it for a couple hours. It slow releases, dumps all your meds in your system for the day, and you pop it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, you know.
That would be nice.
Or those get smarter, and it becomes a specific points of the day. Like you just put one on a day, and it has all your meds for the day.
That would be great, because then we would cut down the stomach issues that occurs with all medication.
Yeah. And the amount of medication we end up having to take because so much of it's not going to be absorbed.
Right.
Like, yeah. Granted, I'm sure there's some things to work out with that to make it more viable.
Right.
Yeah. All righty. So moving right along.
What do you got?
Well, I've got the relationship you sent. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you do the magical fingers of the internet.
Uh-huh.
And bring up our Am I the Asshole? I am. I'm trusting him to pick a good.
Hey, I'm letting the mouse.
Oh, Brenda and Shannon were on different YouTubes. That's what they were talking about. Because technically there's two YouTube feeds.
Yeah.
They were.
All right. So here you go. Power of the mouse.
God. Mighty power of the mouse. Let's see what we came up with tonight. Am I the asshole for pointing out text vocabulary is crucial to perspective? Me and a few friends have recurring game nights, and they are always super fun, but we have this friend, we'll just call him Sam, that seems to not think before sending a message to anyone in our group chat. Sam does this by choice, though. It's not impulsive. Sam has stated that he does not feel he needs to think how he words things to us, because a close enough group should understand that he never means for his words to be harsh, instead of trying to perceive it from another point of view. The most recent event was in our squad chat group chat. We were talking dates, and it seems it seems we may have gotten one down, but I had forgotten a specific text. A friend stated they have to wait a week to fully confirm. Sam decided to just copy and paste this message and put the person name like how you would see a quote on a story name here. I stated that I appreciated the reminder, but the delivery could have been better. Like a simple, this friend is still a maybe, but we can confirm in a week. I let them know the way they sent it seemed like they were annoyed, and they just pulled a, as I mentioned in my last email, sort of tone. Sam's response was, I apologize for your perception interference, which then led to it seeming like Sam did not even try to understand how they were speaking to a friend, which I vocalized that this can sound like a response from a customer service line. This is a recording. reoccurring issue, and S has stated that I am just walking on eggshells, and he wishes that we could just talk to each other however we want without him having to worry about how he texts me. Am I the asshole for requesting him to put more emotion in our chats?
Yes. Sam is an asshole.
I'm gonna go with everyone's shitty here.
Well, I'm gonna go with Sam's an asshole.
Okay, so you're saying that OP is not the asshole.
I'm saying OP is not the asshole.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with everyone's shitty here. I think your bigger issue is that like your communication styles vary greatly, and that like how Sam does things is literally just kind of lazy.
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to invest the effort to make this sound all pretty. Like, I'm just going to say what I need to say or copy and paste what I got to copy and paste. And like, you know, it answered your question.
Right.
Which is one style. On the flip side, I think you're not recognizing that like this is just who they are.
Sure.
And that yes, part of knowing them is that you have to learn that like none of this is hateful or rude or mean. Because you're wanting someone to do a lot of emotional labor for you.
Well,
you already know that they're not like tinging something with a lot of negative emotions, that like it's not there.
Right. Well, see, my problem with Sam is if he is not putting into the friendship, if he is just like pasting per my past response, if he is just pasting per the last request of your email, I acquiesce to your other communications. Oh,
Well,
Sam definitely has communication issues. He should learn the power of voice chat.
Well, but it wasn't really that. It was just someone had previously responded, and that's what they were all waiting on.
Right.
And so he copied and pasted it and then put their name with it so that you could make the connection that this is what we're waiting on.
Right.
I don't really see that as being per se hateful. I think it's way less effort than having to sit there and go, well, we're still waiting on Jen. Let's just give this friend a name. We're waiting on Jen to figure out her schedule, and you know she's going to confirm in a week. So right now we don't know when we're meeting again, for sure.
Right. Well, it's kind of like the one emoji that aggravates the living crap out is that damn thumbs up. I hate the thing with a passion. I would rather someone take the time to say acknowledge or okay, I'll get onto that. That thumbs up is the laziest response available. And it doesn't have a meaning. Are you trying to hitchhike a ride?
Well, I mean, it has meaning as one defines it in a group. If you define it as like the stupidest thing on the planet, then it means the stupidest thing on the planet. But I've always generally taken it as like, got it, awesome. Like any one word response affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is great, thanks, that's what I needed, awesome, got it. Good to go. Got what I needed. Just, you know, very simple, basic, like, cool.
Right. Again, all wonderful words. Thumbs up is nothing to me.
And Brenda is like, I by accident all the time. I hate it.
Right.
Brenda's with you. Well, yeah, it sounds like Brenda's pointing out Sam could have communication issues. I have a friend that sounds like an ass in text. They really don't communicate well in writing. That happens too. Now I do know from because this actually reminds me of a friend of mine named Sam. Not like that specifically, but he's dyslexic. And sometimes what he sends in text is so not what he means to say.
Right.
And it's one of those things that after a while you start to like flip it in your head and take things, you know, either closer to how he means or be like, Sam, what was that?
Right.
Like, you want to try that again? Like some of our best conversations and biggest laughs have been from things he sent in Messenger. And this was way back AOL Messenger. That are like, huh? Like those words don't string together right, no matter what I do. Like I can only flip these so many ways before it's like it could mean one extreme or another. But I don't think either of those. Oh, Brenda says best texts were from a very drunk dyslexic friend. True.
Yes.
For my friend Sam, the best ones from him, because if Sam is calm and relaxed and having a great day, his texts are wonderful and you can read them. And there's a few little, you know, here and there. But if he gets stressed and angry, like you start seeing all forms of dyslexia come out until eventually it's just garbage.
Right.
It's just like dun 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 on the keyboard, and it's like, Sam, when you calm down, you're gonna have to explain the last 15 paragraphs you sent me.
Right.
I can't read a single one of them.
Right.
But no, it would also happen sometimes if he was really super excited about something.
Right.
But anger was usually the worst ones, where it was like, I got nothing.
Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with everyone's shitty here. I think there's a balance in between that you guys could strike.
Right.
Because I like OP, I don't know who hurt you. But what you're asking for out of the people who communicate with you is a lot of like investment into writing a message that does not hurt, offend, upset, aggravate, or annoy you at any level.
Right. But he could have simply said, we are still trying to confirm for next week. That's all he could have said.
Yeah. Granted, I don't think that Sam couldn't get better, but I don't inherently see what Sam's doing as horrible. I do, however, see what OP's asking for is a lot of extra work.
Like, I don't know, thinking what you actually want to say, communicating it properly, and not being lazy about it.
I mean, he answered the question.
He answered the question, but did he answer the question, or did he just copy and paste the question and try to call someone else out?
I mean, that was the person that needed to, you know, finally respond. As in, like, this is what we're waiting for.
All right.
So I wouldn't have a problem with it, and I can't say that I haven't done it. Like, sure. I mean, because, you know, granted, usually it's because I think something got lost in a conversation. And it's because if I'm being asked a question that was already answered,
Mm-hmm.
I usually think it's somewhere in all of it, because some conversations do just kind of turn into a thing, and then you're getting a question. It's like, well, we already answered that. And so I've been known to, like, I will do it. I will highlight, copy, paste, and resend a blah, 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 blah that has already been said.
Right.
And just because why reinvent the wheel?
Right.
Is it worth my effort to reinvent the wheel? Yeah, I mean, there is an amount of being called out, but I really don't think that's what it was. It was just like...
Right. And I think this is a mild example of his lazy texting.
Okay.
You know, in my opinion. I think this is, like, OP is probably Charles in a mild example, like the current burning issue, not what he normally barely communicates with.
Okay, so like this was the straw that broke the camel's back, is your thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh, for God's sakes.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I just don't really see it as being like, I don't see it as harsh. Like, because OP describes it as harsh. Like, I went back and looked for OP's exact description, is that it was harsh. I was like, how is it harsh to, like, copy and paste what someone said and then attach who said it?
Right.
Like, I don't see how that's harsh. That's what transpired.
Right. Instead of, you know, and again, that's what I'm saying. This has to be like the mild camel that broke the camel's back.
Okay.
Instead of this is what all broke the camel's back. Like, not only did he call this person out about having to confirm, but he also, you know, will go in there and use improper pronouns, maybe language that isn't acceptable to all of the group. You know, he isn't listening to his audience that is reading this.
Fair enough. I mean, I know we've been in some chats where it was like, dude, like, figure out your tone, dude.
Yeah.
Figure out your tone. Now, I will say I've been there, but like that was a situation where, trying to be careful. Because part of me just wants to blurt it out, and it's like, no, let me be nice. Because it's, you know, I'm professional. But it was a professional chat. And don't get me wrong, I'm a smart ass. Like, I appreciate some smart ass humor. But this was going so far beyond smart ass, it was just crude and inappropriate. And it's like, there's like, it was apropos of nothing other than someone in this group chat like moved or breathed and said anything that suddenly we were all, you know, slapped in the face with some really inappropriate joke that had nothing to do with the conversation. Right. And like it was, or like the level of tangential, like it wasn't like a clear, obvious thing. It was like so tangentially connected,
Right.
like by the thinnest silk thread.
Right.
That no, it was like, why would you, this is a professional chat amongst people that you should be considering colleagues.
Right.
So I don't know what you're thinking right now or how you think that helps you in any positive way. Because I now know a room and a group full of people who are really repulsed by the idea of ever working with you or being associated with you, because they're afraid this is how you act in public.
Right.
Which is not untrue.
Right.
Yeah. That I can understand.
Right. And, you know, that is problematic. This dude just lazy chatting is problematic. It's not really thumbs upping and okaying, or even going into wrong tone, wrong communication style, can be very paining in the communicational area. Because it's like, okay, why is my phone dinging? Oh, you felt the need to just have a base conversation and call out, someone that's like, well, I don't know if I'm coming Friday yet. Well, that's fine. You don't know if you're coming Friday yet. We'll wait for you to come and figure out what you're doing. But, then for him to call it out, it's like, excuse me, dude? Like, did you even need to do that? Was that necessary?
But it seemed like the situation was that OP asked when they were meeting next.
Right.
And so it wasn't just, out of thin blue air, he decided to call this girl out or this person in the group chat out. It was like, hey, when are we meeting next from OP? And they went copy, paste, hyphen, Jen. So that it's like, well, the last thing we heard from Jen was this. So we were waiting for confirmation from Jen. Like, I mean, you can reblender that and be like, hi, we're waiting for confirmation from Jen because she previously said that she had to wait and find out if this would work with her schedule.
Right.
Well, Jen already said that. It got lost in the chat, but Jen already said that. Found it, copy paste, Jen, like, here you go. This is what we're waiting on.
Right.
Like, I kind of see it as efficient. No, I mean, I'm not saying that Sam doesn't have other issues and that this was just like the straw. And maybe it speaks to a bigger issue. Because I know I'm guilty as hell of like saying things repetitively. That, it's just an efficient way to say it. Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, even if I type it by keys, I'm going to say the same thing. It sounds decent. It's nice. It's friendly. It's appropriate. And like, if there's anything else that I can help you with, please let me know. It flies out of my fingertips. I can't not do it. And I've even caught myself doing it in situations where it's like, I don't want to say that. Like, we recently, the client the client that wasn't, that we had show up asking to become a client. I was I started to type it. If there's anything else that I can do to be of assistance, please let me know. And there was like, no. Like, no, I don't want to be of assistance. Like, dude, I don't care what happens to you now. Like, I wish you much success. Far, far, far away from me.
Right.
Like, but that seems rude to type.
What? Please drop off the planet so the IQ of the planet can raise? Not hard to type.
Not hard to type. Harder not to type sometimes. But you want to talk about being harsh? That would be harsh.
Yes, and I've said that.
Well, I'm sure you have. Like, sometimes I think you are Sam. But you have a tendency, you have a tendency to say stuff to people, and I'm just sitting there the whole time, like, how is this going to turn out? Like, you woke up and chose violence today.
Right.
Talk about not sugarcoating doesn't mean you have to wrap it in shit and set it on fire.
Well, I don't wrap it in shit. I do set it on fire. Especially when they're doing the repetitive behavior that is only creating more and more drama.
True. Well, and I think there is a point to that. If you're already in a group chat in which and talk about calling people out though, but if you've already been called out in that group chat and amongst your friends for the fact that, like, dude, the shit you say.
No. Or dude, you can't say that here.
Yeah. Although, then again, like, I have a friend I dearly love, and there are significant medical reasons why this occurs. He has no filter.
Mhm.
Like, if it comes into his brain, it is out of his mouth before there is any hope of making it sound pretty. And I will say, it's really off-putting in the beginning. And it is harsh, it is cold, it is cruel sometimes. It truly is.
Hide this one from me, have you?
He lives far away.
Uh-huh.
You're from college. And when I first met him, I was really like, oh my God, dude, you can't say shit like that. But it's one of those things, the longer you know him, it just kind of in turn, because, you know, he'll gladly tell you, and good luck stopping him, what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that, no, this is one of the after effects. This, like, you know, he can't.
Right.
Like, the internal filter that says you do not say that, or you can say that many other ways than this, does not engage. It will never engage again. It's gone, it's done, it's over. So you get sort of used to it. It doesn't mean there aren't things that he has said, even knowing that you're not like, dude, I'm going to need you to take a couple steps away for a minute.
Right.
Because that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to like go, okay, I see what you meant there. Like, you have to do like the filter processing on it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost him a lot of friends. It made it very hard for him to make friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sometimes very hard to be his friend.
Right.
Because you had to realize that, like, you got to do the pretty filter yourself.
Right.
Like, because if he's not yelling and screaming at you, he does not mean it to sound like that.
Right.
He meant something a lot more friendly. Unless he was yelling and screaming, and then yeah, he meant exactly what he said.
Right.
Like, it was like that. It was like that anger when, like, just all the shit falls out.
Mm-hmm.
But he would be talking to you like, hey man, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
Just calm, peaceful, like, I don't, you know, like, I'm caring and concerned about you. And then all of a sudden say the most, like, thing. And it's like, the hell is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've unfortunately, you know, slipped into a coma after both your lungs collapsed, and you have some brain damage and nerve damage and neuropathy, and like the brain side of that, because you were without oxygen for several minutes. This is what got affected.
Right.
Is just that portion of your brain that would let you take what you're wanting to say, and how his brain work. I mean, guess insight into some people and how their brains function, and turn like something that would sound really cruel and harsh and mean, and you shouldn't say that, you know. You have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Yeah, that rabbit died. Thumper died. And just bleh.
See, and I'm normally the one that says, if you don't have something nice to say, come sit by me. We'll compare notes.
Yeah, I mean, y'all might have had fun together as friends. Y'all seriously might have.
Yeah, but I think that's probably one of those phone conversations that I have to watch where I'm speaking at.
I don't know, because, I mean, it could go one of two ways. Like, y'all could be best of friends and just be that hateful-ass bitch couple. You know, like the little old ladies, whoever they are, the two sisters that hate each other. Like, she calls me every day to tell me what she's done, and it's like, make the bed and blah, 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 blah. I don't need to know that shit. We love those little old ladies, by the way. They're hilarious. But it's also one of those moments like, oh my God, you just said that about your sister? And then the sister turns around. Well, she's a bitch. So I don't know. It could either work out that way and y'all would be like besties, even though it sounds like you hate each other. Or it could have been really bad for both of you. Like, I don't know. I don't know how that would integrate. Like, it might work out beautifully, or it may be a dogfight from hell.
Or it may be a dogfight that's a conversation.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's like one of my friends, you about flipped your shit when we were on the phone. And I had to look and go, what the hell's your problem? Because are you arguing with this person? I'm like, no.
Was that... who the hell was that? I mean, there was one point, off the top of my head, I think that was technically your ex. And I was like, who the fuck was that? Oh, yeah, that's a different one.
Yeah.
Drag queen on drag queen violence is what that was.
It's not. That is
off on the phone. Like, both of you damn hung up your fucking heels, but all right.
No, she's still working. Thank you very much.
Okay.
A local street corner, but she's still working.
In flats. But no, yeah, that was a wild conversation. Then again, you have a few of those.
Yeah.
That, like, you're on the phone and it starts out and I think you're talking to a client because, that's most of the day. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, if he just said that to a client, he's ready for a nap. Like, someone needs a nap. Like, you're done. And then you realize that, like, no, this is way too familiar frenemy to be a client at all. There's no chance in hell this is a client.
Nor a
frenemy.
Yeah,
there was a drag queen conversation that just started at, there's no way in hell this is a client. Yeah. God, if this is a client, Jesus Christ, we're in trouble. Like, we're going to starve. We're going to starve.
We aren't going to starve, first of all. Second of all.
Oh, so now what would be a fun pay-per-view fight?
I think the conversation would be a fun pay-per-view conversation. I don't know about a fight.
I think it'd be good comedy. Pay-per-view comedy.
Well, okay, I can give you that. We are very funny in a conversation, but we say a lot more than what we say. And it's a lot more shoveling than what people expect.
Mm-hmm. Drag queen on drag queen violence cage match.
They've done that. Bullshit. We are Southern queens. We aren't those Northern bitches. We will put glass in your makeup.
Ooh, damn. No. See, no. Like, you want reasons why I'm not all that into drag queens? These are reasons why I'm not all that into drag queens. Doesn't mean I don't like drag queens. It means that I'm just not all that into drag queens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Someone go get a lighter and hairspray. Bitch,
you stole the dress.
You think someone has to go get, like, please. I am pretty sure there's a can of Aquanet and a lighter in his princess pouch right as we speak. It's been in there since the 80s. It is vintage Aquanet.
Yeah. Furthermore, they don't do it right anymore. Aquanet barely shoots fire. I prefer Fireball and a lighter. Or any grain alcohol.
Oh, Brenda said, "Oh, something more blingy than a cage." Shannon. Shannon said, "I didn't say they couldn't bedazzle the cage, Brenda."
Bedazzle my ass, glitter shit. What makes it good? Like, come on. Like,
It's gonna be Brenda, get your bra on, but it's gonna be, you know, in hot pink and have rhinestones everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I think the bitch and I think snark is why I like drag queens. If my friends and I are being nice to each other,
Mm-hmm.
I had a coworker like that. Like, we sounded like we hated each other for the first like 6 months we worked together. Our boss called us in his office and said, "Do I need to separate you?"
Uh-huh.
And we both looked at him and went, "No. What is your problem?" And it was literally how we talked to each other. And it's like, I'm from West Virginia, he's from Ohio. What did you expect? We had the same childhood.
Yeah.
Like, this is just how we talk to people in the north.
Yeah.
Like, we give each other shit all day long. I don't know what your Florida ass learned.
Or you throw ketchup packets at each other.
Oh, Shannon's like, "I don't want to take craft turkeys home, Aeson."
And learn the use of duct tape. Because that will remove the damn glitter. A little E6000, a little duct tape will fix most of the problems.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty, so poll up.
Poll is up. Alright, let's move on. Poll has been up about who's the asshole. Alright, on to relationship problems.
All right, my girlfriend, 27 female, and I, 27 male, had our first threesome. I need advice, please. Me and my girlfriend and me and my girlfriend had a threesome, and it went great. So much that I asked my girlfriend if I could make the third my girl. At the time, I wasn't thinking about the statement, my girl. She didn't like the statement and made things weird after. We didn't end up having another threesome, and I was supposed to stop talking to the third. I didn't stop. I continued to text and flirt. My girlfriend caught on, and we fought about it. Well, long story short, I want two girlfriends. I don't know if it's the idea or the feeling of the threesome, but I want it. The third is, guys. The third is okay with the idea as long as my girlfriend is okay, but I don't think my girlfriend is okay with the idea of me having another girlfriend. Sometimes during sex, my girlfriend brings up the third as dirty talk. I don't know what to do. I really want to just be with both of them. I don't want to leave my girlfriend for another girl. Also, my girlfriend likes girls. We have been together 4 years. I don't know if I should tell her how I feel or not. I don't know if I'm being selfish because it's what I want.
You're not being selfish, however, you done fucked up.
Yeah, like start best ways to start polyamory, wrong answers only.
Right.
Like, that's your post in a nutshell, my man.
Yep.
Best ways to start polyamory, wrong answers only.
Right. So your best situation here is to stop all of it. Because actually what you're running off of is EMF hormones, and they aren't really good for you for long term. First of all, your girlfriend isn't interested in a third. Secondly, you don't have an agreement in place to even deal with those. Thirdly, I don't think you have the emotional wherewithal to keep it going. You cannot cover the basic conversation at this stage. So with that, you're going to have to do some reorganization quickly. Because your horse is already out of the barn, your cart is already turned over, and someone done set your barn on fire. You already got your ass caught.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of things that went wrong here.
Okay.
This started out purely sexual and turned into something more.
Right.
Which sometimes that's a good thing.
Right.
In this situation, absolutely not. Like, you presented your girlfriend with this, and then you went and did that.
Right.
As in, you presented her a sexual threesome, and it turned into a relationship that you not only started, went behind her back, and continued, and then effectively got caught in the midst of. You had some exit ramps, my man. You had some exit ramps.
Yeah.
All of them would have been better than where you are now. You have followed the road to its unfortunate conclusion. It is turned from a 4-lane into a 2-lane, into a 1-lane, into gravel, into dirt. You are now hearing the banjos, and you are wondering how to fix it. Good luck. Because I don't think you're going to fix it. I think you have to truly decide what you want, because right now you want everything, and everything is off the table.
Right. And see, that's why everything needs to come off the table. You need to take some time to do some research of your emotions and then go from there.
Yeah. And figure out what ethical non-monogamy is, what non-monogamy is, and the appropriate approach to doing things like polyamory, dating multiple people, and ensuring that you do not act like a nuclear hand grenade to yourself and others.
Right. And ensuring that you don't fall in love with every person you meet.
Well, that just means you have a school bus polyamory.
Understandable, but everyone has their limits, and your girlfriend's already drawn a limit, and you did not meet that limit. Like, we're going to try this, we'll see how it goes. That doesn't mean that it's permanent. You didn't listen. You didn't follow the rules. You didn't say, we talked about this, but I think I want more. Where's your feelings on this? You also didn't listen to her needs.
Nope.
Which is even more troublesome.
And more importantly, it sounds like you have, at best in the new girl, a monogamous to like a weak monogamist.
Right.
Not really invested enough to care one way or the other. So they're not actively engaging in polyamory. They're not actively engaging in ethical non-monogamy. They're not even actively engaging in non-monogamy personally.
Right.
But they can be low-key condoning.
Well, but here's the other situation that kind of irks me about this one. Was, my girlfriend likes girls too. That's like saying, but he threw the rocks at the house too. It's just I broke the window.
Well, I kind of see it as like you're not really caring, or you don't seem to understand that just as you're with your girlfriend for reasons, you find her attractive. Let's just get vulgar. She has a nice rack. Her butt looks cute in those shorts. Whatever it is, you have taste and preferences in who you date. You are treating your girlfriend like, well, she's a girl.
Right.
Like, no. Don't know where your brain is, but this may have been okay for a threesome. And like, okay, that's fine. I can rock this. It's whatever. But not someone to date, not someone to do multiple threesomes with.
And there may not even, and it may be that, yeah, she likes girls, but she may not be girl romantic.
Yeah, that too. That's a very important point.
You know, so dude, you got to get some research on. You got to shut your mouth, keep your head down, and take your phone out of your hand.
Basically. But no, you're not wrong for this being what you want. I will say that.
Right.
You're not being selfish. Well, I mean, you are, but hi, that's most of life. That's why we buy the car we buy instead of giving money to the poor. That's why we, whatever. Like, it doesn't make you a horrible person to be a little selfish.
No.
The idea you're going to force this on her and everyone in the situation, and you're not going to get your shit together.
Mm-hmm.
That's not selfish. That's called being a jackass.
Right. And it's never good to be a jackass. Point blank. And it's never good to not pay attention to boundaries and requests for needs and evaluating if you have enough emotional fortitude as a hinge to handle the situation.
Mm-hmm. And do
it correctly, because you can't be another Cody Brown. Like, that doesn't work.
Because and that's the whole point, is there's enough jackasses out there doing this badly.
Yes.
And they're in their wake, because this all looks great on the front end, but much like Cody Brown, on the back end comes the wake of destruction.
Right.
And there's a lot of jackasses out there doing this wrong.
Right.
Please don't be another one.
Right.
Yeah, Brenda points out love, relationships, and sex are different things. She may like girls, but only for sex, not this girl for a relationship. Lots of variables.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And no, you don't dude. No. Yeah. No, you've got to step away from all of it.
Yeah. And figure out what you want after your brain comes off the hormones that naturally occur.
Yeah. And maybe learn some things about yourself and how you interact with other people. Like, did you just randomly pick up your girlfriend?
Yeah.
And then you're randomly picking up this one because it's a girl that will have sex with me.
Yeah.
Like, that's not love. That's not a relationship. That's not a good basis.
And it's not a good forging ground either.
Yeah. But I have to point out real quick, that does happen in a lot of relationship problems, are people who just went, you are willing to have sex with me. We are now in a relationship.
No.
And it's like, no, please don't start relationships like that.
Right.
That is not how that works.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. So survey says.
Sorry, it's moved it. Ooh. Interesting. Survey is split between no, you are not an asshole, and everyone is shitty.
Ooh. Well, no one thinks I'm the asshole, so that's all that
matters.
Right.
Right. I out loud know someone right now in one of those.
A desperation ship.
Those are, I don't know. I don't know how they last in my brain.
Sometimes I think it's two people who have lowered their expectations so much that, like, it's almost like a truce. Like, don't do anything real bad. I won't do anything real bad. And then we just don't ever have to think about it. And we're not alone.
But those are only going to last for so long.
I don't know. I think there are couples that have been together for decades like that.
Yeah, but eventually you're going to get tired of not having your needs met. You're going to get tired of not having, you know, the relationship met. You're going to get tired of not having the intimacy you desire. You're going to get tired, like, you just get tired. And it's like, nah, I think I'm divorcing today. Okay, I'm packing my shit and leaving.
Possibly. Then again, I think there are people that just never, like, they just think this is what it is. It's all they know.
Yeah.
I think it happens a lot with people who get married young, especially in communities where that's less of their choice and more of a social pressure expectation. That, you know, like, well, you know, you showed the least interest. Okay, this is who you're going to marry. You end up just walking along and going with it. And it's like, they're not a bad person. Like, they don't cheat on me. They don't hit me. They don't scream at me. They're a good provider. They're good to our kids. You know, I have a nice house. I have a nice car. Like, I don't worry about things. Like, we have money in the bank. Like, it's an okay life. It's just not one you're passionate about. It doesn't move you, inspire you, or do anything for you. It is the life equivalent of Valium.
Right.
And I think it can sometimes be like, what am I going to do that's better, or that has, you know, or you don't even think about it. Like, this is just what it is. Like, what else am I supposed to want?
Yeah. See, I am so not that person. If there is not passion, if there is not intimacy, if there, you know, it can wane for a little bit, like all natural relationships. But once it's dead, I'm ready to check out. Like, early checkout, please. Thank you very much.
Thanks, we're done. Have a nice day. Like, this was the most adequate hotel stay ever. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a good hotel stay. It wasn't a bad hotel stay. It was adequate. Like, that's not a good word to describe your relationship. It's adequate.
No. Adequate or basic or, well, I get the minimum of what I need out of this. No.
Like, all my needs are met.
Ain't lasting.
Like, that's. I'm not trying to blow up people's worlds or relationships or spike the divorce rate, but I would start to question myself, is adequate enough?
Right.
Like, is it really? Because I dealt with a client for years that, and this was in a previous job. I've had no contact with this client in years. And that was basically her life problem. Her life was adequate.
Right.
She had a nice job. Her husband had a nice job. She had decent children. She had a nice house. She had nice cars. She had nice things. She took nice vacations.
Yeah.
But she was miserable.
Right.
And she couldn't really put, like, her finger on one thing and be like, that cheating bastard. Or, you know, that lazy bastard who won't work and make money, or my shitty fucking children. Like, she couldn't point to any one specific thing in her life and be like, that's my problem.
Right.
She was in this constant meh. I have decent children that don't really do anything that bad or wrong or inappropriate or out of the norm. Like, my house is fine, my cars are good, our finances are okay, just
Right.
but nothing. Like it was the most suburban beige life.
Right.
And she couldn't figure out, like clear to everyone else, but she couldn't figure out what her problem was.
Right.
And she would literally, and I'm an IT guy, like how I know all this is because I was the only person she could bitch to, because I'm paid and I have to listen to her. And I can't hang up on her. And she would just go off on these like silly little tirades. And I just felt so bad for her to be stuck. And she just needed something horrible to happen in her life so she could walk away and feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. Who walks away from a husband that's faithful and a good provider and a great father and, keeps you in nice things and good vacations and a second home and, like on and on and on. Like there was nothing this woman had in her life that was a problem.
Right.
Other than it was just this boring beige wall of a life.
Right.
And just like old cartoons where, the scenery just keeps going back around. And it's like, I'm so effing miserable.
Right. And that happens, unfortunately. And that's when it's like, okay, time for a reverb. Time to be looking at what you really want. And if it isn't that, move it.
Yeah.
Or speak up and say, these are the following needs I need.
Well, that, and sometimes starting with what was really important to you in that. Did you care about the nice house, the nice car, the positive bank accounts? Like what, look for maybe just go through and look for the things that just weren't important. Did you need a second home?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and try to figure out, like, is this really what you wanted?
Right.
Like, and are you willing to trade off some of those things for more?
Right.
I mean, and sometimes it works out better. Like, you get all those things and someone you care about.
Right.
Like, you get to have the perfect suburban Barbie dream. Which honestly, I think she could have found. But again, she was also she was an older woman. And I think there's a lot of people that, like, you work hard, you do all the right things, and then you get so lost. And get up, go to work, do your best, come home exhausted, take care of the kids, put them to bed, prep for tomorrow, rinse, lather, repeat. And then suddenly, they're adults. They're out of the house. You haven't had a conversation with your husband in years. Like, y'all aren't even into the same things anymore. You don't even know what he's into.
Right.
He doesn't have a clue what you do.
Right.
And it's just, it got comfortable and then it got quiet. And then it just was.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a mausoleum and it's deafening.
Right.
So.
And then you got to figure out what to do while you're in the mausoleum.
Yeah. Like, are you dead?
Right.
Do you want to be? Because that's what usually mausoleums are for.
Right.
Like, if you're experiencing the mausoleum, maybe you need to get out.
Right.
Most people don't.
Well, it takes them a bit.
Well, no, I don't mean like that. I mean in terms of usually dead things go in a mausoleum. They don't have an experience of it. It's just where you store the remains. If you're in a mausoleum, at least metaphorically, and you're experiencing that, yeah, get out. You're not supposed to be there. You're not dead.
Right.
Like, that's not where living things go.
Exactly.
Alrighty.
Alrighty, guys. You guys have a great evening. I will see you Thursday night. I'm not sure who my guest is. We'll see. I think Gwen's coming to talk with me. We've been working on some stuff, so that'll be fun. And then we'll be back Friday. There you go.
All right. Of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.